I get a lot of emails telling me how you're the voice of common sense, the version of Bernardi that wasn't so successful in the Parliament before. Like I got this one from Boris. He says, Senator Alex Antic is the only one telling the truth in Parliament. Did you see his speech on welcome to country?
The answer is that activists will never be happy, and we all know it, because bitterness and resentment are their bread and butter. So next time you're asked to participate in one of these ceremonies, remember, despite what they say, refusing doesn't make you a racist. So here's my memo to the grievance industry. Thanks for the virtue theatre, but like most Australians, I'm sick and tired of being welcomed to my own country.
Here's my memo to the grievance theatre. What was the response you got from that?
Oh, well, look, I mean, it's hard to gauge because social media is a bit of a curated garden, but pretty overwhelming, I have to say. I mean, and emails too. I think we are hearing from Australians they're tired of this. They're tired of being made to feel like we're divided. I think that's really the main point here. This is a classic kind of pincer movement of the left. It's this sort of oppressor versus oppressed type pincer movement where Australians are being told you need to be welcomed into your own land. Now, to where I sit, it doesn't matter if you're fifth generation Aussie or you're recently naturalised. As far as I'm concerned, that's great. We're all Australians. But the inner city lefties want to make this all about division, and I think they're sick of it. Before kindergarten, presentation nights or councils or the opening of Parliament, Aussies don't want to do this anymore. We don't need to be welcomed into our own country anymore. And I think, frankly, as that clip said, rejecting this is now where we have to be. It doesn't make you racist to reject this sort of...
Exactly right. I heard today, a notable QC or SC or KC, it is now, said that some people who are objecting to the voice were racist. I mean, that sort of conversation is a disgrace. You can't have a legitimate concern about what's going on.
That's right.
Anyway, Boris, I hope that answers your question. Anna writes, none of the media picked up on an important speech by Senator Alex Antic about the push to lower the age of consent. Why aren't more people outraged by this agenda? What did you say? I mean, this is highly charged, this pedophile map stuff, isn't it?
It is. And look, I think the essence of what I'm trying to say is let's not buy into this slippery slope, right? We've seen this before. This has happened time and time again. We've seen it through, climate alarmism. It starts off being, we've just got to turn the lights off once or twice, and then before you know it, you're shutting down factories and moving on. The left do this very, very well. What we're talking about here is this continual push to sexualise children, frankly, and we see it all the time. Through drag queen story time or what's now becoming apparent in the US, which are these almost semi-strip shows for toddlers and babies.
I had some of that on earlier.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, I don't think there's anyone who's really being fed income about this that thinks that's okay. I don't think it's okay. Now, I really don't have a problem with, men want to dress like women. That's, people can do what they want in their own time.
But can I jump back to this, though? The term pedophile has been talked about as demeaning to those who are sexually attracted to young children. So they're using this thing, minor attracted persons.
There's a new title.
A new
title for it. So this is the concern. So my concern is that what we're drifting into is this normalisation of this for the purposes of don't know what. But I'm not a betting man, but I'm happy to put some money on the fact that we'll be talking through all different parliaments all over the country about lowering the age of consent in the next 5 years or so. I'm worried that this is where this is headed, and we've got to nip this in the bud soon. People have to start talking up about it. And in fact, I've got a campaign going on my website, www.alexantic.com.au, for a little plug there. But the point of it is that I want parents to let me know when this stuff's going on so that I can blow the whistle for them and then I can make further investigations, because I think we have to really circle the wagons on this before it gets out of hand. This shouldn't be being normalised, and it's dangerous.
All right, quickly, before I let you go, you talked about the normalisation of it and the push to lower the age of consent. What we're seeing by the left is not only a push to lower the age of consent, they want to lift the age of criminal responsibility for children. So we've got this nexus in the world that children aren't allowed to make decisions for themselves about certain things, but they're allowed to make it on about changing genders, about how they're going to be referred to, about whether they consent to sexual activity, but they're not responsible enough to take responsibility for some of the actions that they're taking. This it just says that there's a dichotomy at work, of a divergence of common sense.
You're picking out one in a myriad of extreme, hypocrisy that lives in this part of the world. I mean, it could go through a half a dozen others. But look, you're absolutely right. I mean, it can't have it both ways. We've seen this through a number of different debates that we've had over the last few years. I mean, the classic one, from my way of thinking, was this push to sort of, ban grid girls in the Clipsal 500 here, and then on the other hand, tell us that, there shouldn't be demeaning women in other ways. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
There's much worse things going in the world. They wanted to ban the UFC fighter ring girls for a little while, until one of the female fighters got out and said, no way, they're part of the sport. Keep them in.
Matter close to your heart.
It certainly is. The UFC indeed. Senator Alex Antic, thanks so much for your time tonight.
Cory.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, good to be here.